He says, wife and I are on step 6 of the FOO with a 27.75% marginal tax rate. Since we're in the middle of the 25 to 30% range, how should we allocate between a traditional and Roth 401k?
So this is hard, and you can tell that Todd has listened to some of our content because we have sort of a rule of thumb here. We say that if you add up your marginal federal rate and your marginal state rate, and it's below 25%, there's a really good chance that Roth contributions make a lot of sense because you're in a lower tax bracket, and the odds are in the future you'll be in a higher tax bracket. If, however, you add up your marginal federal rate and your marginal state rate and it's above 30%, there's a really good chance you ought to do pre-tax because you're in a pretty high tax bracket now, and that current year tax savings is super, super valuable. So now Todd finds himself in a situation that says, okay, I've done the math, I've added up my marginal federal, and I've added up my marginal state, and I am at 27.75%. So how do I decide? Do I do Roth? Do I do pre-tax? Do I do some mix? So what would you tell Todd, Brian? How would you walk him through how to think through this?
I love, because he's drawing attention, and we talk about that gray zone, and it's because I think it's somewhat easy if you add your federal and your state income tax rates, that marginal tax rate added together, less than 25%, you go, wow, historically that's pretty low, so we might take advantage of tax-free growth opportunity so that compounding gets to do its magical stuff. And this is specifically happens usually for a lot of young people. Mm-hmm. You're at the beginning of your career, so you even have more years of compounding growth coming your way. Well, for somebody who's got a marginal rate, combined marginal rate over 30%, you can go, wow, that's actually taking a third of the money is going towards taxes. Wouldn't it be nice if that third was starting to work for me in a way, and maybe I can play an arbitrage some point down the road when I retire, and I can, maybe do some Roth conversions or something else at that point to catch up. But somebody like Todd, who's right in between, you've got to take into account, this is the key section of what we always say as financial planners, it depends. Mm-hmm. Because what Todd didn't give us was his age. Mm-hmm. Because look, I will tell you, somebody who's maybe in the 27% or close to 28%, like he said, if he's in his early 20s or even early 30s, still might push that needle towards the Roth. Sure. Because you just have so many years of compounding growth. And what the liabilities sitting out there for the federal government and other things, you're like, well, that's probably a pretty good deal for me to go ahead and do it. But you also need to take into account, what are your future income projections? And I tell you this because, Todd, if you had some great years, but now you're at the tippity top of where you're going, and you think next year it's all coming back down because maybe you had some bonuses, they set it up wrong, and you got a 40% bonus that you're just not going to get again. Well, then you might want to change because your income's going down. And if that's the case, maybe you want to take the deduction now, and then when your income comes down, lower, you go back to the Roth. But if you look at your projection and you go, wait a minute, no, I'm young and my income's going to go way up and my tax rate's going to go up, maybe this is okay to go ahead and do the Roth now because this is as good as it's going to get because taxes are going up in the future because of my income projections as well as what's going on with the federal government.
Or maybe you're someone who says, I think I might want to retire early. I want to have access to these dollars. Maybe I look at my current account structure and say, man, if I were to do pre-tax contributions right now, every dollar I put in is going to save me 27 cents, almost 28 cents in taxes. I'm going to take that tax savings and I'm going to begin building up my after-tax account. I'm going to build up that bridge money so that if I do retire early, I have a pot of money I can pull from. Those are all the things you need to look at: your age, your account structure, your future plans, and your assumption of future tax rates. If you can look at those 4 things and kind of measure each one of them, it will dictate which side you should fall on. Should I lean Roth or should I lean traditional?